So there I was, just browsing the Nintendo eShop for bargains, as I do, and I came across this peculiar little indie platformer game called Celeste. Checking out the description, it looked pretty cool. It had a unique art style, interesting characters, and a tough platforming gameplay that's eons above anything Nintendo has given us, so I decided to give it a try. But, in my naivety, I did not understand what I unleashed upon myself: the physical and emotional toll that this game bears upon your soul, the way it toys with your emotions and patience through its simplicity, playing you like a puppet. It lures you in with a cutesy art style and a curious narrative surrounding this dubious crag. But little do you know exactly what horrors await you during your trek to the top of this summit. The way it hammers you in the face with failure after failure, breaking down your ego until all that's left is sheer unwilling determination to just get to the damn top. Pair that with its heart-wrenching story about self-discovery and friendship and acceptance during one's hardest time, and you might just have one of the greatest games I think I've ever played. Just like Dark Souls, this game is intentionally made to be as unrelentingly brutal as possible. But due to the fact that this is a platforming game, it doesn't feel completely unfair. You see, the fundamental aspect of side scrolling platform games is that it's you versus the level. You aren't fighting some arbitrary bad guys to complete the mission, no, because the level is the bad guy. A great platforming game requires pristine level design because, at its heart, you are fighting against the level. That's the reason why most modern 2D Mario games are criticized so heavily. Their level design is just so stale and easy compared to its predecessors. That and the fact that they are literally the same. But coming back to Celeste, each level is designed to challenge the player as much as possible. This fundamentally forces the player to rethink their strategy when approaching each segment of the course. And you are given a simple set of moves to work with, including jump, wall grab, wall jump, and a mid-air dash. But there are certain moves that are limited in terms of how much you can use them. For example, the wall grab. You can only hold onto the wall for a finite amount of time before Madeline gets tired and starts slipping. In order to overcome this, you must start jumping in order to get to solid grounds. And in the case of the dash, you only get one, for now. And when you use it, as indicated by your hair turning blue, you must land on a platform or burst these little gems in order to recharge. The simplicity of the moveset allows for the game devs to get very creative with the way these segments are crafted, and it shows! But it's not all unicorn farts here, because the mantra of this game, like Dark Souls, is to be as brutal as humanly possible. So all those elements I told you about? Well, you better get good fast. Otherwise, you'll only fall on your face over and over again. And it's not as if this game holds your hand either. In the beginning sequence, you are immediately faced with some pretty tough jumps. I'm not gonna lie, I died in the tutorial section. But after the tutorial, you are freaking on your own. The nice part is this game doesn't penalize you for deaths. Instead, it serves as a mild inconvenience to teach you going forward, as most modern games do. And that's what makes this game so fun. It introduces a new aspect that you must overcome. Then, through much trial and error, you finally taste the sweet, sweet nectar of victory, only to then be thrust back into the fire yet again. I know I sound kinda stupid because all these aspects are already established within the greater platforming community, but I wanted to highlight them here because that is what makes this game so special. That and its story. Speaking of which, I have to approach this story with some reverence, because despite the cutesy art style, this story delves into some pretty dark places. This story follows Madeline, a girl who decides to climb a mountain in order to escape the doldrums of everyday life. But as she begins her quest, the mountain brings out a part of her, a darker part. This entity takes a literal human form and does everything in its power to stop Madeline from reaching the summit. Along the way, you meet several interesting cats, such as this crazy old lady who actually gives you some relatively good advice, as well as my personal favorite, Mr. Oshiro, a ghost running an abandoned hotel who demands nothing short of absolute perfection. And then there's Theo, a drifter from Seattle who really helps our little hero come to terms with her problems. This division within her causes all sorts of mayhem for not only Madeline, but her friends as well, and it even actively endangers everyone around her. The toxicity of her alter ego makes her want to destroy it, but the more she tries to embrace her more positive side, the more violent her darker side becomes. And just as she's about to make it to the summit, the dark side finally breaks her, and she falls all the way back down. While she's down there, she realizes the more she attempts to fight her bad side, the worse things get for her. So she decides to stop running and instead embrace it. And initially, the dark side resists, but Madeline persists, and eventually, her other side yields. Then, and only then, does she discover the power that was within her all along. The division within herself was exactly the thing that was holding her back. And with this newfound confidence, she takes one final crack at the mountain. If you couldn't tell, this is a perfect allegory for depression, and the story really speaks for itself on just how important it is to stop fighting whatever it is you're struggling with. Because ultimately, whatever part of you that you're fighting, it is a part of you. No matter how much you fight it, it won't go away. In fact, it is the fight that is causing the problems in the first place. Now, I'm no clinical psychologist, but I can speak from experience. I struggled with a part of me that I thought was a mistake or a design fault, but the more I fought it, the worse things got. So this narrative of embracing yourself really struck a chord with me, as learning to live with that part of yourself is what ultimately helped me turn a new leaf. And this all comes back around to the underlying motivation. Madeline's whole motivation to undertake such a daunting task was to get out of her own head. But in doing so, it forced her to physically confront her demons head on and see that they aren't demons in the first place. They are just as scared as she is, which is why they are pushing back against you. And in that circumstance, your best option is to push forward, to tell yourself you are no longer afraid, that you can make it to the end. All it takes is a little determination, and that ties perfectly into the difficulty of this game. The fact that this game punishes you, but doesn't completely demoralize you, is what keeps you going. It always hangs that carrot in front of you, on the edge of a cliff, lined with spikes, on the other end of a crevasse, but it is there. And after much struggles, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And in this brutality, it will really break a player down. I will say this right now. This game is not for beginners. If you really want to play this game, but you are only a noob, perhaps you should start by 100% completing all the Mario games. Then repeat that about 1,000,000 times. Then learn to speedrun all of them. Then, and only then, you might have a sliver of a chance of completing this. Now, I've been playing platformer games all my life, and this game broke me down to my most fundamental level. When you play this, you know you are not better than the level, and the game reminds you over and over and over. Most other games build up your confidence by making you feel as if you are the king of a set level, but Celeste does not do that. It removes your ego in a way I've never seen a game do. Again, it introduces the mechanics and puts you through the meat grinder, and it truly reveals just how patient you are with games. And I have to say, I'm pretty darn patient. I am proud to admit no controllers suffered during my playtime with this game. But through this thorough beatdown, I discovered something about myself, a deeper part of me. Though I felt like quitting time and again, I pulled through. I found the motivation to keep going despite the fact that the Mount wanted to end my quest here and now. I don't know if it was just out of sheer spite or just an underlying will to push through the hard times. Either way, I made it to the summit in the end, even though the toll was great. And that is the incredible achievement the devs of this game accomplished. Giving you a game that is like walking through hell barefoot, all while breaking down your ego until it is just you and sheer fucking determination. And when you inevitably make it to the top, you can give yourself a pat on the back. Because through all of that hard work, all that suffering, it was you who pushed through. You were the one who made it. So enjoy the view because you made it. That's what I love about this game, the fact that it just beats you down relentlessly and teaches you to pick yourself back up. So yeah, aching thumbs. That's what I feel after playing this game. That and a profound sense of accomplishment. And I also have a deep respect for the story they're telling. This has definitely been one of the more profound games I've played in a long time. And I love it when I just stumble across these hidden gems. I mean, this is the game I needed to play. It is absolutely fun. It is brutally difficult. After you finish it, you get this great sense of accomplishment. And I gotta shout out the music. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. This is some of the best video game music I've heard in a long time. And I'm the kind of guy who likes to listen to video game music on their off time. So that's saying something. I mean, Lena Raine just knocked it out of the park with this one. I mean, this is the type of music that I could listen to over and over and over again until I'm sick of it. And even then, I will still go back to it and just be amazed at just how good it is. Other than that, yes, the game, highly recommend it. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend you do so. Unless you're a noob, this game definitely is not for the faint of heart. It is absolutely wildly hard. And I love it. I love it for that reason. It shouldn't be anything more than that. It needed to be difficult to help to amplify the story it was telling. I've never seen a game where the story and the gameplay just intertwine so well. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that this is one of the greatest games I've ever played, in my opinion. But, on one last note, the game developers, they should change their name. This isn't an extremely okay game. It is an extremely great game. In fact, I will say this, it is the best game that I have personally ever played. And this game is available for the low price of $19 on the Nintendo eShop. That is the greatest value ever. You get such a wonderful game for such a low price. So go do yourself a favor, and once you're done with this video, go to the eShop and show some love for this game, because boy oh boy, it sure deserves it. And I think that's a great note to end this video on. If you liked what you heard, please hit like and subscribe. And I will bid you guys adieu. Thanks and goodbye.